In this video, I'm going to talk about the powerful tools built into the Navigator that you can use without actually setting up your classes. Some of the things you can do is you can update the actual endspires in your class as long as they're connected to the hats. You can send and delete files from calculators, and you can also set them up for exams. You can clear the scratchpad, get them prepared in between class periods, and set and reset press to test. So let's get into our software. So I'm going to review from the last video how to get into the network manager just so you can see. Lower left hand corner, here's my network manager. I can see that all my calculators are loaded. I've got a good strong signal for most of them, and I can sort them, and if there was any network issues I could troubleshoot them from this point. I'm going to close out of my network manager, and now I want to go ahead and I'll start off with the first thing, which is update my endspires. So to get my operating system for my endspires, I'm going to go ahead and open up a web browser. I'm going to go to education.ti.com. And once I get here, I'm going to hover over downloads and click all software, OS, and apps. Once I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and select that I have Ti-Inspire. If you do have any CASs, which I have one in my set, you would also want to get this operating system. But I'm going to just get my CX and CX2. So I'm going to click on that, and I want the operating system. Once I'm here, you'll see that here are the two current operating systems. It's my advice that if you're going to have a couple months in between updating, don't go back into your downloads and use an old operating system. Make sure you just come back here and download the most current. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this operating system. This is my CX, and I'm going to go ahead and click on that. It will download. Now I can go back, grab the CX2 operating system, and now I've downloaded that. Now once I have both operating systems, I can go back to my software. And once I'm in my software, we're going to be able to utilize the tools that are available to us, again, without actually setting up classes. So here's the tools menu, and we're going to use what's called the transfer tool. So here it is. I'm going to add to the transfer list. I'm going to go to my downloads, which I already have populated here, and I will start off with my first operating system, which is for my Ti-Inspire CX, and that's what the TCO stands for, Ti-Inspire CX operating system, and then this will be Ti-Inspire CX operating system for version 2. I'm going to go ahead and hit select. I'm also going to go ahead and check this box, so any files that are currently downloaded, I will delete those files, and it'll basically start that calculator fresh. I'm going to go ahead and click Start Transfer. You'll be given this pop-up. You can go ahead and choose yes, because I want to delete the files. You'll see everything pop up. Notice it is skipping some of my handhelds. Those are my CX2s and my CX2 CAS. It will now go ahead and download that operating system and push it out to the handheld. Once it gets on the handheld, it will then install. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let this happen here in the background. And so now we can see calculators are getting to 100%, and as they get there, you'll see them fall off this list, and that's because those calculators are restarting at this point. Again, you'll notice I have 4 calculators that got skipped, and that's because they are Ti-Inspire CX2s and 1 CX2 CAS. So now I want to go ahead and push the operating system out to those 4, well, those 3, right, because one's a CX2. So I'm going to go ahead and click Stop Transfer. I'm going to go back in, and I'm going to remove that selected, and now I'm going to add my CX2 operating system. Again, I'll leave the delete selected, even though technically it deleted the files with off of all my calculators from the last transfer. I can still leave it on there. I'm going to click Start Transfer. Again, we will get this pop-up, and you'll notice that 1, 2, 3 calculators are getting it, because all those other ones were CXs and 1 CX2 CAS. See my message of skipping transfer, wrong handheld, and that's okay. You'll also notice that the status is moving much quicker with the CX2s. It is a much faster calculator. So these should finish pretty quickly. So you'll notice at the top that 3 of my handhelds receive the CX2 operating system. So I can stop the transfer, and if I wanted to update my CX2 CAS, I would do the same thing. Go to education.ti.com, download the operating system, and then add it to this transfer list and push it out. So that is the transfer tool, which is great for pushing out the operating system. If you had a file that you wanted to share with the class, and this is more like if you had a self-paced document that you weren't trying to score, so maybe some type of document where students might practice some skills or try and develop an understanding of a mathematical concept. So take, for example, this problem right here where it's just kind of practicing with the x-angle theorem, so they could see that as they're moving vertices around these 2 angles, changing. It is also, this angle out here is changing, and they can see that the sum matches because of the exterior angle theorem, and it might be a little bit more self-discovery. It's a nice little file. Great way to kind of showcase it, so now they get to build the meaning for themselves. If I wanted to send this file out to the kids, what I would have to do is I would have to save the file. And if you pull this from a website, then you would have it. So I'm going to just call it document 1. I could now use my tools transfer tool. I could add to transfer list, and there's that document 1. If I click select, I can tell it where to put it. By default, it wants to put it in the folder given today's date. If I start to transfer, it will then go out to all of my calculators in the class. Doesn't matter the type, as long as they're all connected through the hats. So that's a great way to kind of push a file out there. Again, I would only use it for files like this where I'm not really expecting to collect anything. I might just have the students just kind of work through and kind of develop some ideas based off investigation on their own. The last thing I want to kind of show you is how to use this to set up your calculators, maybe for exams or in between classes for tests, things like that. Again, we're going to go back to the tools, and I have a whole collection of tools here for prepare handhelds. So if I go and I click this, I will clear all the scratch pads in my class. If I want to set default document settings, which is very important, I'm going to go ahead and click that. This will pop up. By default, the TI Inspire is on float 6. It should be set to float, and that is guidance from New York State because of what happened a few years ago on the Regents. What I can do is, if I have a set, for example, float, radian, this is kind of a collection of settings that Algebra 2 teachers are pretty fond of. What I can do is I can say save. This will pop up, and I can actually give it a name, so maybe Algebra 2. If I click save, I now have this pre-populated. If I send this out, you'll notice it's going out. Don't worry about the version mismatch. It is actually going out to all my handhelds. All right, so 23 handhelds got it because we knew my number 2 is out, and I have 24 handhelds connected. So I'll click done. If I want, I can go back to tools, prepare handhelds, and maybe for some folks, we don't want radian measure, maybe we want degree measure. So I can actually save that. And now I've got algebra/geometry. Oh, I can't have the slash, so I'm going to use a dash. Save. If I send this now, I just changed all the settings to have angle measured in geometry. Now all 23 just got it. I can click done. What's nice about setting that up with the saved is if you're in Regents Week and you need to quickly convert from algebra geometry to A2, and that's how your building has chosen, is the Algebra 2 teachers have it in radian, then you could just quickly come down here. I can click Algebra 2 and click send, and now all my calculators have that collection of settings. So it's a nice thing to kind of have in your back pocket because it's really quick and easy to configure all your handhelds. The last thing I want to talk to you about is press to test. So what I can do is send press to test. I'm going to go ahead and choose test mode restrictions because there is the one restriction that we're required to have in New York State, which is the limit geometry functions. If you have CX2s in your class, you can actually turn off the CAS. Remember, that's the computer algebra system that allows for symbolic manipulation. So I can actually do that. Now, if I push all this out, so this looks good. I might even give this a name. I might save it. And I'm going to say this will be for Regents. Because maybe you don't turn off limit geometry functions when you give tests in your class. That's an option. It's up to you. But I can now send press to test. Send press to test. Right now, it's saying 0 are configured, but what it's doing is it's sending the information out, and then all the handhelds will begin to restart. I just like to go over and give it a quick visual inspection because for some reason it never shows the number that have been configured using press to test because they all just restarted. So if I go over there, they're all restarting. So we're in good shape. They all received the press to test command. I'm going to click done. I'm going to let them boot up, and then I'm going to show you how to take them out of press to test very quickly. Okay, so all devices are in press to test. Press to test is a nice feature to have even on days of tests in your classroom because if you needed to, you can actually come up to tools, go to prepare handhelds, send press to test. And if I do this right now, let's say period 1 comes in, does some work on their calculator. If I do send press to test right now, it will basically refresh everything from period 1 to period 2. So that's a good thing to kind of have in your back pocket in terms of using the calculators and managing the calculators in your classroom. All right, so that's using them daily, using them in preparation for the Regents. Now let's say it's after the Regents and you want to exit press to test. Well, that's exactly what you're going to do right here. We're going to Tools, Prepare Handhelds, and then exit press to test. So when we get a pop-up, I'm going to say exit press to test. And again, it doesn't say how many handhelds are configured, but all my calculators over there on the other side of the room just restarted. And when they boot up, they will be out of press to test. Well, that brings to end what I wanted to kind of show you in terms of using the Navigator without setting up classes. There's quite a bit of power in terms of managing your devices. Hopefully you'll have an opportunity to check out some of the other videos I have, because I do a little bit more about the press to test stuff. That is doing press to test one-on-one and sending between calculators. The information that's there holds true here in terms of the blinking lights and things like that. So check that video out, and if there are any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out.